Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the UFC 317 Early Edge Preview Show brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas, molded by Vegas. I said I would stop making that joke. I lied. I'm never not making that joke. And I'm never not fired up for cards like this. Holy smokes. Ilia Topuria stepping up to lightweight to take the vacant title, perhaps against Charles do Bronx Oliveira. The flyweight belt is on the line. Pantoja, KKF, Kai Kara France going at it. So many other bangers on this card. And I've got some great guests here with me to break it all down. Let's welcome in the stars of the show. I'm here with Claudia Bellofatto, now regular here on the UFC Early Edge Preview Show. Love to see it. And of course, BC Brian Campbell. Let's get some money. He got Moicano. Moicano wants money on this card. We got some great fights to talk about, man. I want to kick it off with you, BC. We're going right to the prelims to start this show up. And I want to know your best bet on the preliminary card. What do you got?
Look, I'm going to take Tracy Cortez here against Viviane Araujo to win by decision at minus 225. You get a little bit more value than her winning straight up. And look, we know in the women's divisions here, you're not going to get a lot of finishes. Both of these fighters have been finished just once, but for Cortez, it came in her pro debut. For Araujo, it came in her UFC debut, both in 2017. But when you're looking at this matchup, you have Cortez coming off of her first UFC defeat. It was a step up against Rose Namajunas to sort of figure out, is she truly an elite fighter, or is she just somebody that can handle that second tier consistently? I think that's who she is. The problem for Araujo is at 38 years old, I don't believe she's even in the second tier anymore. She's lost 3 of her last 5. She's been traditionally handled when moving up above water and facing good competition, with recent losses to Natalia Silva, Amanda Ribas, Alexa Grasso, even Caitlin Chookagian, all in the last 4 years. So give me Tracy Cortez on a bounce back here. She's not a finisher. We already know that. It's going to be by decision.
Yeah, you're right. You see the money line at minus 250, decision minus 225. So you're saying, look, if this is the obvious outcome, I'm just going to take the slightly better line, bet the method here. And I'm kind of with you, Claudia, your reaction to this fight too, because I think Cortez learned the lesson she needed from Rose in that first 5-round affair, showed her grit, showed her heart. I think she can beat a 38-year-old Araujo who's good, but maybe doesn't have enough to stave off the wrestling attack. What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I don't really disagree with anything BC said. My early lean was looking to the under on rounds. I think there's a lot of outside hype, too much so, to where you got to just sort of ignore the outside noise and just look at the stats and look at the actual rounds of the fight. So I agree with BC. I wouldn't go against it.
All right, well, Claudia, let's go to you. Your favorite bet on the prelim card.
So if you guys remember, I started UFC 316 talking about Joshua Van. I'm going to do it again. This time, though, I'm going to go on the money line with him in this flyweight against Brandon Royval. And I went back and forth on this one. Very curious about the line movement, because some books open north of minus 250 on Van. So I feel like, and I'm curious what you guys think, I feel like I'm getting a good discount on him. Because, of course, he's coming off that dominant win, the third round TKO over Bruno Silva. But it's such a quick turnaround. You have to give him kudos. Getting back in the cage this quickly on short notice, stepping in, and taking a big step up in competition. I think all the kudos in the world to him. It was very interesting to see that line swing, though. He was such a heavy favorite. Royval became the favorite. Now it's settled to where it is. So you got to try and figure out, do you want to move with the sharps there or not? And I understand the movement because Royval's more experienced. He's had more wins against tougher competition. Some may say he's more well-rounded. But I think the opening line shows the right sort of respect for a guy in Van, that I know he's a rising star. He doesn't have the resume, but he only has 1 loss in 8 outings. He's 4-0 since the loss to Charles Johnson, and he looked good, I think, in those first 2 rounds. I talked about his striking on the last show. His number is even better than the last time, 8.2 strikes a minute. And I know Royval's been fighting forever. He has the size and reach advantage. But in my opinion, Van has the youth and the youthful spirit of not caring. He has nothing to lose, everything to gain. And to me, this had some sort of effect, I think, on the line. Royval keeps talking about the concussion, and he keeps saying it's not a big deal, but he keeps bringing it up. And that's the reason he pulled out of the last fight. And then he talks about wanting to move in weight classes. I think that had something to do with some of the movement and that early line on Van being such the heavy favorite. But the money moved in my favor. I'm getting a discount, in my opinion, on Van, so I'll take it on the money line.
Wow, very interesting read on this fight, on the movement. I like the full scope breakdown, especially the betting market, which has been really curious surrounding this flyweight banger. Oh man, you guys won't find a bigger Joshua Van fan than me. I bet him every single time on his rise up this division, including that one loss to Charles Johnson where he just caught him with that perfect uppercut shot. Van quickly rebounding, like you said, quickly the most active flyweight ever. Maybe active fights in the calendar year, I believe, within 350 days. So unreal activity from Joshua Van, taking on a stiff test in Brandon Royval, who's championship caliber, right? He's faced those guys many, many times. BC, I'm going to get your reaction later on to this fight because you have to weigh in as well. We're going to keep it moving on the prelims for now and talk more about this fight later on, get more angles. I'm going to go with my pick, and that's, ladies and gentlemen, a weather concern alerts us. Get your batteries, get your water, batten down the hatches, because there's a hurricane coming through. It's Category 5, Hyder Emil, and this guy is an absolute junkyard dog. I have to bet him until he loses. He's 11-0, and he's 35 years old coming into the featherweight division. Like I like to say, he's here for a good time, not a long time, and he just absolutely pours everything into all of his fights, mixes up his MMA game, pressure style, looks to break you, weaponize that cardio. And he's got a really tough test in front of him in Jose Delgado. He's the underdog for a reason, right? And Delgado's smooth, slick striker, training out of MMA Lab. He looks to have nice jiu-jitsu skills on the mat too, can lace up some unorthodox chokes. So my worry about Emil in this fight is that he does create a lot of wild exchanges, right? His game is based on, just making it crazy and trying to break you. And that could work against him in the grappling exchanges if he's not well-versed enough. We've seen him get into some dicey exchanges here and there. But he has so much heart in him that I'm just going to go ahead and take this money line shot. I also like him on the spread at +3.5, -115 there to take a round, right? Just, really, really show off that granite chin and that cardio, which keeps him live in any fight against any opponent. Delgado 9-1. He looks really good, but maybe he hasn't fought anyone with the will. It's a will versus skill matchup here, and I think Hyder can will himself to a win. All right, guys, that's my my take. Anytime Hyder fights, I gotta rally the banner. You guys know it. Next up, we're going with our favorite prop bets. I'm excited to talk about these. BC, you got a really interesting one, a fight that I'm really looking forward to, and I didn't expect this to be a pick. What do you got in this banger?
Yeah, I'm going in this lightweight division, figuring out who's coming or going in the title picture between two veterans in Renato Moicano and a Beneil Dariush who, could really use a win coming off of 2 stoppage defeats against elite foes. The odds are close on this one, depending upon who you favor in terms of which direction they're going. Rather than try to get in that, I just want to go on this direction, that they're going to go the full 3-round distance. That would be +120. And the reason for this is interesting. At 36, Dariush has certainly seen better days, but I think he understands right now what he's up against in this matchup. He may not be fighting for job security per se, but he's certainly fighting for the idea of trying to keep his name among that elite, that top 10 group here in a very difficult division. That could give him the motivation to have a stronger training camp than normal. Yes, he did say ahead of this fight, this is the best he's ever felt in camp, which can be a very cliche line. But I think if you add the pressure that is on him and the durability that he's shown at times and bring that against Moicano, who's himself in a very interesting spot. He had that fantastic win streak in which he scored upset victories, taking it from Benoit Saint Denis, getting stoppages, putting himself in a position to where he wanted the big money in a title shot. I know he didn't expect to get that title shot on last minute notice last time out against Islam Makhachev, and boy, did he get humbled and handled early. I'm always interested in seeing how veterans who maybe surprised their way to the best streak of their career, in this case of Moicano, getting all the way to the title level, even if it came in special circumstances, whether when they get handled easily, when they get humbled, when they get dominated at that age, and Moicano is 35 years old, will he have that same sort of reckless, my time is now type of let's say, demeanor in this fight? I think ultimately these two can cancel each other out a lot. It will be a close and competitive fight. I'm definitely leaning more Moicano getting the win on recent memory, but the idea that these two can go the 3-round distance, yes. Beneil's been stopped by big names. We know he also had the brain bleed scare a few years ago. He's not the same that he was on that original March where it looked like he could be a legitimate title contender, but I think he has enough pride coming in here to make this a close and difficult fight, and one where after 15 minutes, he can hear the judges' scorecards. I don't need to figure out who wins that. Just give me that plus money on that 3-round go the distance bet.
Woo, I feel like you're going to be sweating this one. Claudia, I want your reaction because Dariush, as skilled as they come, like BC said, but I do worry a little bit about his ability to take damage against Moicano if it gets nasty in there, right? Moicano coming off of taking a title shot on 6 hours notice and looking to rebound here. He says it's easy money. Easy money. What do you think, Claudia?
I'm just laughing because everybody keeps comparing the two, like they have a 10-year age gap between them. Like just because Dariush has the salt and pepper hair, I'm like they're the same age. And I think they'll be fine. I was trying to go back and forth and pick a side here, but I think he's making the right choice and not trying to make that decision and just going with the distance play.
That's my question. They're the same age in number, but are they the same age? Are they the same age here? Right. I wonder. That's the question. But BC
Chin's not made of the same. Can say that, yeah, that's
fair. For sure. And the grappling skill of Dariush can't be understated. He could get out of bad positions with his scrambles and his reversals. He's as slick as they come there. So maybe it's a tight one here. I could see it. Being
well, look, Dariush could cancel out what Moicano does well on the ground, and then we've got two older gentlemen boxing for 15 minutes. That's what I'm betting on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw Dariush put on a clinic against Mateus Gamrot not that long ago. He's a huge underdog, and he put work on him easy. So he's technical, man. Could be a good fight. All right, man. I lean Moicano, though, too. Next up, Claudia, your favorite prop bet on this card.
Yeah, I'm looking at the early prelim heavyweight with Honada Diniz and Alvin Hines. This is another short notice one on Hines' side. Undefeated regional guy, and everybody's looking at Diniz's last fight. So, yes, you might think I'm crazy, but I'm going to take him to win by KO, TKO, DQ at -135. Very clear. He wants to stay off his back, okay? Nobody wants to see him on his back after the doctor's stoppage against Topuria in his last fight. But I think this is a great bounce back spot for him. Like I said, against a regional guy that a lot of people label slow, stiff, sloppy. And Hines does have power. He has a fair bit of wrestling, but he's not consistent with the takedowns. And that's how you beat Diniz. We saw that very clearly. If they stay on his feet, though, I don't think he can keep up with the striking. Diniz has the cardio. He has the speed. He has the 5.5 reach advantage. He has the footwork, a great footwork for a heavyweight. He's been doing kickboxing at a high level for almost 15 years. And he was on that good streak, too, before the loss to Topuria. He does an okay job defensively, I think. He just has to avoid getting mounted. But I think we can all agree when it comes to this specific market, it's very unlikely he gets it done on the mat. That's why it's priced at 18-1. But if we're going with this result, it's something that he's done in 7 of his 8 wins. So I feel good about it. And I feel like we're getting a great price at -135, KO, TKO, DQ.
I think you nailed the way to bet this fight, right? He's -300 on the money line. No one wants to lay that. 7 of his 8 wins are by knockout. His win condition is by knockout. -135 all day. I like this bet a lot. BC, I was checking out Alvin Hines. I was like, is this guy anything to rate? What are your thoughts on this guy?
I mean, he's a big finisher on the regional scene here as he steps up to a much higher level. My biggest confidence in here in this one between two heavyweights that may or may not be going in a long-term positive direction is that we will see a finish in this one, and I certainly can lead to the favor with the better experience in this matchup. So I would go Diniz as well. I like the stoppage one to boot.
Yeah, levels here. UFC, Diniz got the experience. I like it too. I'm tailing this one. All right, my favorite prop bet on this card. I'm going with Jack the Joker Hermanson to keep this fight close. I'll take him on the spread at +3.5. That implies that he loses by or wins the fight or loses by less than 3 combined rounds on the judges' scorecards, right? So if he loses a 29-28 unanimous, we still cash that ticket or split decision, right? And I think Jack can use that veteran toughness and that lateral movement to keep Rodriguez in check in this fight, keep him guessing, keep him searching for him. Remember, at the pay-per-view cards, we're always in the bigger octagons, right? So another little edge for the guys with really good lateral movement and footwork that can use that extra space. And Rodriguez, yeah, he hurt Jared Cannonier in that last fight. He's as nasty as they come. Muscular physique, intimidating striker, sneaky good grappler too in those clinch positions. I just think that he showed that if you wear on him and you make him work a little bit, you can turn the tides on him. And I think that's exactly what Jack the Joker will see here. Very intelligent fighter. The low kicks are available, the quick strikes, the jab, and perhaps the wrestling attack too. Always live from Jack. So +180 on the money line. I'm liking a little kind of half unit sprinkle there, but +3.5 for him to take a round. I'm definitely taking Jack. He showed that he could stand up to a power puncher in Joe Pyfer in the last one, right? And survive that onslaught, then turn the tides on him late. This is a 3-rounder, so he'll have to do it a little sooner, but I think he could do the same against Gregory Rodriguez. BC, thoughts on this fight?
Look, I'm a little not so confident in what, as the Brazilians would say, Hobo Cop is going to bring to the table there. You like that? Jose Aldo, King of Rio. I'm trying to get the pronunciations right here. I think after his last bout, in fact, when he lost to Jared Cannonier, got himself into a war and really just got outslugged, that you get a little feast or famine from him at times. I think Hermansson's very underrated. He's sort of that solid veteran that can give the rising guy, Joe Pyfer, a great example, a really hard night at the office. But I also think he's somebody who's not completely out of it, meaning there still could be a couple fight win streak or run put together here. He's still solid. He's still in there. I like the lean.
Nice. Let's go. Claudia, quick thoughts on this fight?
I have this exact same play, so whether you want to hear it an hour later, but I'm pretty much spot on with everything you say. I am tailing it, but I'll dive it a little bit deeper later on.
Let's go. Love to hear it. All right, let's go to parlays. Let us cook. All right, time to put your hats on. And this is an absolute banger alert. Claudia, we're going to get the violence started here. What is your favorite parlay on this card?
Co-main, main, not to go the distance, parlay, little over, even money around plus 107 is what I got it at. Topuria Oliveira is set at 575 to not go the distance. So that's obviously our first leg. Our second leg to bring the juice down will be Pantoja and KKF at minus 130. So market clearly does not think with Topuria and Oliveira that's going to go. I think we're all in agreement here. I was looking ahead at the sheet. And Topuria has said several times in several different interviews that the fight's going to be over in one round. So that's our can't ever be sure, but we're kind of sure leg. Then we have Pantoja KKF, and I think BC and I are both going Pantoja by stoppage, which we'll get to. I think whether it's submission or he gets it done on his feet, which he says he's determined to do, I think that one ends early. So again, you throw those together, one heavy juice, one nice price. We get a nice little payout around even money.
Co-main and main not to go the distance. No judges needed. And I like it. BC, your thoughts on how these fights might play out?
I love violence. I love the under. I love leaning into that in this regard. So I have full love for a no distance parlay when you're talking about these fights. And is Topuria not the best bet on this entire card? Oh, we'll get into the best bet on this entire card. Spoiler alert, I'm going to help you make some money. Let's get wild. But yes, Topuria, especially by stoppage, just feels so good that any parlay you have that involves that, I'm all in on it, please.
Yes, I'm done not listening to him. We're going to talk more about this Topuria fight, but I am done not listening to Ilia Topuria. All right, favorite parlay for you, BC?
Look, I love to parlay winners here, and in this case, I can get one that I consider a guarantee, which is Topuria to win. You're not going to get much value there, but how about the veteran, the former title challenger, Brandon Royval at plus 100? For everything you guys said about 23-year-old Joshua Van, yes, he looks like the future of this division. His boxing is sublime, and he did bounce back from that Charles Johnson heat check knockout favorably. I also typically pick fighters with big momentum. Who's got better momentum than Van on this win streak, the recent finish? But here's the deal also with that. Levels matter. Experience matters. Van has fought 8 times in less than 2 years in the UFC, which can be a good thing when you're building momentum, but he is taking this fight on just 3 weeks' notice. How will that negatively affect him? And on the flip side, even with Royval's recent health scares that's delayed his fight with Manel Kape, that got delayed again when Kape broke his foot to open up the door here for Joshua Van, I just ride big on the raw dog at 32 years old still. His only defeats in the UFC have come against championship level material, twice against the current champion Pantoja, once against Brandon Moreno. 2 fights ago, by the way, he got that win back against Moreno, winning a competitive split decision. And 3 fights ago, the most recent loss on Royval's ledger when he did lose the title opportunity against Pantoja. Let's not forget he was very competitive over 5 rounds and really felt, having talked to him after that he figured out what he's not doing right to potentially get over that hill. What I'm saying here is that 32, Royval's poised for one more big run. He showed you that in humbling the prospect Tatsuro Tairo, even though that was a wild action fight. And I really think even with some of those health scares, the concussions, that if you're going to give him 3 rounds against a younger fighter lacking in that experience, he's not old. He's not out of it. Royval can give you high volume. He's hard to hurt and finish. And I think when you just look at the levels and the experience, Van's fun to watch. I'm not against UFC giving him this big opportunity to literally go from the number 12 ranking to potentially, if he beats the number 1 Royval, how are you going to hold him back from a title opportunity? The problem is sometimes that's just too much too soon. When you look up and down who Van beat, I love the Bruno Silva win, but short of that, they're just not fighters on the level of a Brandon Royval. So it really comes down, in my opinion, to do you believe Royval still has it and can make one more run back to a title shot? I do. I believe in that guy. I love what Van's bringing to the table, but I can package plus 100 Royval with Topuria to win and get plus 138. Give me that money line parlay.
Wow.
I'm just
awesome,
kicking myself. I'm kicking myself for not seeing that opening line, because I would have jumped on Royval in 2 seconds if I saw that opening line, but I think that's why it moved so quickly. I agree with the experience thing, but again, it's sort of like playing with house money on Van's side, and you're getting him at such a good price. I just wish he was a dog, then I'd probably take him, plus the points. But I see what you're saying. I do like the parlay.
Such a good fight. Such a good fight.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk a little bit more about it even. There's the parlay for you. Plus 138 for BC's parlay. Plus 107 for Claudia's parlay. The no distance. You got a money line here. And I'm going to go with a little spread parlay for you guys. You guys know I love my spread markets. I'm betting on fighters to keep it close, right? Fighters that have that toughness and that can battle in there. And I think both of these fights, if they do go the distance, are going to be 29-28s, maybe split decisions here. I'm going with Brandon Royval on the spread at plus 3.5. And Renato wants money, Moicano plus 3.5. We're talking about this Van Royval fight. It's going to be competitive. Van's boxing in the pocket, his vision, always eyes on the target there. It's going to be tight. I think he has the chance to pop Royval, but Royval's never been knocked out. His one knockout on the record is that loss to Brandon Moreno by shoulder injury. So we're not really counting that. He's never been chinned. He's been knocked down, but he has unreal toughness, as does Van. Van moves forward though, and I think he's going to be there to get hit as well. That snappy jab, those twitchy feints, and constant movement. He's always throwing different angles and looks. Watch out for those knees up the middle too, man. Royval's no joke. I think Van's forward movement could actually get him in trouble a little bit potentially in this matchup and in certain spots, but I think it's going to be an awesome back and forth affair, and I'm taking a spread there. And I like Moicano at least to win around here. I worry a little bit about Dariush's ability to take damage. Like BC said, I think they could cancel each other out in some grappling exchanges. They both end up on top, reversing, clinching. But if it gets nasty at all, if there's ever a knee, an elbow, something chippy in there, cut opened up, if Dariush is the one taking it, I think tick, 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 it trends downhill for him. So I'll lean towards Moicano. I'll take him on the spread too. Plus 123 on two fighters to keep it close at least and win around on the judges' scorecards. All right, y'all. Well, before we get on to our favorite underdog bets, you got to make sure that you're loaded up on your bet tokens and all your boosts on BetMGM. Check this out. You get an MMA boost this weekend on BetMGM. If you're an account holder, all you need to do is make a UFC 317 bet this weekend and activate the boost. If your bet hits, you get extra winnings only at BetMGM. All right. Well, on to our favorite underdog bets we go. And Claudia, you said you were going to have more breakdowns on this fight and analysis here. What's your favorite dog bet on card?
Copy and paste of what you had, man. Jack Hermanson plus 3.5 and even money. I love it. And I know it's been a while, over a year, and his age concerns people. But you talked about that fight with Joe Pyfer. That was a similar break. He went 5 rounds. He won it. He ate the shots well. He did well defensively, 80% takedown defense. We've seen a lot of effective top control from him, and the concern was him on his feet, but he's gotten better at that. He got in over 120 significant strikes in that fight. And the key for this fight is cardio, and he has great cardio. We saw that with the 5-rounder there. On the other side, you guys talked about it a little bit with Rodriguez, but I call him like a flame, right? He starts off really strong, and then he burns out. He is 4 years younger. He's 2 inches taller, but he gives up 2 inches in reach. He is well-rounded, striking power, walks opponents down. He has the jiu-jitsu, all of that, but he gets gassed. Cardio is his problem. He'll dominate early, and then he's going to fade. So that's why I look at Hermanson, what he did in those 5 in the last fight. I think he can either get it done or at least keep it close in 3 years.
Yeah, obviously agree there. And I even think that maybe a late finish is live if he gets a sub opportunity there. If he does gas out, right? Because if there's a finish opportunity, dumps the cardio, maybe Hermanson really turns the tides on him. He's so crafty, and I'm never counting Jack the Joker out of a fight. He's lost me. I think I had Gastelum against him, and he heel hooked Gastelum. I was like, what the hell is that? Like, unreal. He's beating me. So if you can't beat him, join him. All right, Jack the Joker it is. BC. Banger of a fight here at bantamweight. Who do you got for your favorite underdog?
Look, this is a hell of a fight. I got to say, the matchmaking on this card is absolutely incredible,
Yeah.
which leaves you with a lot of very close underdogs that make you want to jump on them. If I can get former super prospect, 26-year-old Peyton Talbot at plus 165, I'm going to take it. And I know what everybody is saying. This is the wrong matchup for him, coming off of a fight in which he completely self-imploded after 3 straight finishes to open his UFC career, being called the future of this division. We did see Talbot go in there as a big favorite against Ione Barcelos, the 37-year-old who has been on a renaissance before and after that fight. And look, yes, that fight went the distance. Particularly Talbot got taken down 8 times. He gassed out, but even though it was 30-27 on 2 and 30-26 on the 3rd, the young kid didn't completely break. He didn't get stopped. And when he's coming in here against somebody who's red hot, when we're talking about his opponent in Felipe Lima, I know everybody's saying, yeah, he's going in there against another wrestler and he's the underdog. But here's the thing. This feels to me like a market correction. And the reason why is because Talbot, yes, he was taken down 8 times against Barcelos. He also stuffed 7 of Barcelos' takedown attempts. And in the previous 2 fights before that, opponents of Talbot were 2 for 10 and 1 for 17 in takedown attempts against him. 11 for 45 overall in his UFC run. Yes, Lima's a good grappler, not a great dominant wrestler, though. And when you look at the advantages that Talbot brings in here, 4 inches on height, he has more UFC experience, and Lima's first 2 UFC fights took place at featherweight. He's more of a natural bantamweight, so he'll be moving back down after 2 fights in this promotion. Most importantly, though, Talbot's just a much better striker. He's a volume striker. He throws more than twice the amount of strikes per round. And I think when you look at this overall, is Talbot in his home city willing to learn from the lessons that a lot of fighters have, where they go in there as a big favorite, maybe they overlook the opponent, and a lot of times they'll gas out, they'll self-implode, they'll make a big mistake. He did that, he bent. He didn't fully break, in my opinion. I like Peyton Talbot to bounce back. He's certainly got to keep his back off the mat, but I don't think Lima's going to be able to dominate him or hurt him when he does take him down. And when they are in that striking battle, I just think the volume, and now with that chip on his shoulder and everything that he has to learn from that loss, I think Peyton Talbot corrects it for himself. And I love that we can get this kid right now at plus money.
Yeah, man, I look at the market here and I thought to myself, maybe they got it right. Maybe Lima is the better overall fighter right now, Claudia. Maybe they rate his MMA skill set with the potential to mix in the grappling higher than Talbot quickly after a disappointing loss. But he's a big fighter, right? He's rangy, he's creative, he's so athletic. We've seen him flip out of, clinch exchanges before. Is it a market correction here? Like BC said, I could see that.
This is, again, going back to the women's fight. Like, there's so much crowd noise around it, and we crown guys. They have one bad fight, and then we want nothing to do with them, which does help sharp guys like BC, because this is the time to jump on it. But you guys talked about it. He's shifty with his size. I like his takedown defense. I don't think the competition's good enough to really punish him on the mat. So I actually was going to go with this play. I love the price at 165.
He's also Frank Ocean's boyfriend. Like, what's up with the hype around that?
Wait, he is?
Yeah, he's in the limelight now. So he's been in videos, and I wonder what the spotlight does. Yeah, he's a creative, artistic guy, and he had a disappointing loss, so he's got a lot to live up to here in this spot. He's an underdog. BC's riding Peyton Talbot, and my favorite underdog here, I'm going back to Brandon Royval. I really think that he should not be the underdog in this spot, man. I love Joshua Van as much as the next guy, like I said, but twitchy feints. I'm going to break the tie here, Claudia. The twitchy feints, the constant movement, the experience against Pantoja and Moreno, and BC alluded to it already, or he said it. I think that he proved to me that he can be elite now after beating Moreno in their rematch. Like that, he made the adjustments he needs to beat the top tier guys. And Van is not that quite yet. His game is not fully there. If they scramble, if they get into wild exchanges, Royval has been in every position against world-class grapplers like Pantoja, Moreno. I think he can find a way to win this fight. So I'm going to take Brandon Royval, and I know Claudia doesn't like it, to her dismay, but 2-1, and I think we had a great fight.
I get it, and I know the big argument is that he's just beaten basically all grapplers except for the last fight, and I understand that, but I don't care, guys, because it opened 270, so I feel like the market knew something, okay?
100%. This is one of those fights where if Van loses, he should go up in the rankings. He will gain stock in a loss. Like, no one loses in this fight. Onward we march. Co-main event of the evening. Claudia, I'm starting with you. You had it in the parlay pretty much. What do you like in the co-main?
Yeah, Pantoja by stoppage at plus 120. I just love this fight overall, though. There's so much love and respect. We're usually used to hearing all the trash talk before, but both of these guys had nothing but good things to say about each other. It's been 9 years. It's been a while, but when they were roommates of The Ultimate Fighter, of course, when they had that fight, they've evolved, both of them, both in their styles, in their size, and all of it. But when it comes down to it, it's just the classic striking versus grappling matchup. Pantoja wants to get it down on the bat. KKF wants to show off his striking. As friendly as they are, he says he wants to be the first fighter to knock out Pantoja. And he's fast, he hits fast, he hits hard, but that's going to be so difficult to do. Pantoja has the chin to stay in it. He has the cardio to gas him out. And KKF does have the takedown defense, but I think Pantoja is going to wear him out with the submission attempts. And Pantoja is on record, too, saying that he wants to take this as an opportunity to show that he has power in his hands and it's not just the ground game for him. And I do believe him, which is why I'm going to go with the several outcome play.
Yeah, I like it here. Pantoja is, KKF is popping his shots. I think he could potentially hurt Pantoja, BC, but he's got this kind of roly-poly ability to kind of, roll with the shots, not fully get hit clean. This caveman-esque style, right? They call Dricus the greatest caveman ever. Pantoja's the greatest flyweight caveman ever. He just is so tough and he's unorthodox and ends up finding a way to get to your back, get to that sticky position, endure the damage to break you with his cardio and his toughness. What do you think? Do you think he could put KKF away in this fight?
I do, and it's nothing against KKF. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. I love the intensity of the throat slash gesture and the fact that he does go in there and bring it and goes for the finish. But there's two things against him heavily in my mind in this matchup. One, when Pantoja won the title from Moreno, it was such a blood and guts affair. And considering his age, I thought for Pantoja, it was going to be a short time on top. I thought it was a great story. Remember the quote, "Hey, Dad, do you like me now? Do you see me now?" It broke all of our hearts. But since then, on this very sleepy top level run to becoming really slowly one of the best flyweight champions we've ever seen, he's gotten better with age, with fights. He's becoming more efficient. He can finish you multiple ways. And I think when you look at Kai Kara-France, he's always had the talent, right? Iron can sharpen iron down there at CKB in the Oceanic region, but he's never fully been able to put it together. And here's something that people don't want to talk about. He's lost 2 of his last 3, and it was, yes, a impressive first-round knockout of Steve Erceg last August that secured him this title shot, but nobody gets a title shot where they lose 2 of the last 3 unless it's a division where the champion has become dominant, and he's kind of cleaned it out. And Erceg, to be fair, even though he got a quick title shot, made a big mistake, even though he fought well against Pantoja and losing that one, his stock's low. And if you go over recent KKF wins before that, Askarow's not in the promotion anymore. Cody Garbrandt never should have been at bantamweight, on and on. And maybe I'll add this. When KKF fights the super elites, he gets stopped, right? Brandon Royval submitted him in 2020. Moreno knocked him out in the rematch for the interim title in 2022, even though KKF was ahead in that fight and looking good. And of course, there was that split decision loss to Amir Albazi 2 fights ago. I just think when you're looking at the streak that Pantoja's on and the fact that he's got something to work for, and for me, that's the idea of him eventually moving up and fighting another guy who has almost cleaned out his entire division, and that's Merab Dvalishvili right now, who's got Sandhagen coming up. But I think if both of them win, meaning Merab and Pantoja in this one, that is a future matchup. So I see the run continuing, and I do see it by stoppage for everything Claudia said there, that KKF likes to bring it. He likes to go for it. It's going to play against him in this fight.
He's got it. I mean, the styles make fights, and that's how he fights. I think eventually, I agree, Pantoja finds the back. And you guys like the KO TKO sub by stoppage any means. I'm going to be a little more chicken. I'm going to take what I think is the most likely outcome, and that's the submission or decision prop. Beat a little bit of the juice, but I think this is a fair price, right? You tell me 2/3 of the time, 66% of the time that he wins this fight either on the scorecards or subs him. I like that because the deficiencies in KKF's game have been just fighting off those elite grapplers, right? Even the Rogerio Bontorin fight, I know he's improved only more and more since then, but man, he was fighting for his life out of those chokeholds, and he has this amazing, uncanny ability to reverse positions or battle through. He's so tough, that Maori tribesman energy, I like the guy a lot, but styles make fights again. Erceg matchup, being close against Pantoja, but then getting sparked by KKF. You know, you make mistakes in a pure boxing fight that maybe you don't in a mixed martial arts approached fight that he brought to Pantoja. So, I don't think that because KKF beat Urseg that he can walk through Pantoja, because Urseg was close with Pantoja. That's MMA math. We don't play MMA math like that. And I think eventually Pantoja finds the back and chokes out, most likely, KKF in maybe the third round, I'll say. All right. That's my favorite co-main event pick. We've gone through the co-main event. Best main event picks are upon us. Oh my goodness, guys. Ilia Topuria heads to lightweight, and he takes on Charles do Bronx Oliveira, the fan favorite. I'll start with you, Claudia. How are we looking at this main event?
He's a fan favorite, but nobody's betting on him, clearly, because the line's not moving in his favor at all. Obviously, no value in the money line. I know we all have certain ways we'll play this. Danny, I think you're taking Topuria to win rounds 1 and 2, which I do like. If you want a little bit more value, you could go Topuria to win in under 1.5 rounds. That's at plus 120. He says it's going to be a knockout or submission. He said one of the two in the first round, but adamant that it's going to be a first round finish. And as I said earlier, usually that's just talk, but he's backing everything up. We saw him knock out 2 of the best featherweights back to back, said he was going to knock out Volkanovski, did it, then said he was going to knock out Max Holloway, did it emphatically. So I believe him. I just do. Sorry, Danny, but I do. When you look at Oliveira, yes, he's a fan favorite. Yes, he's fun to watch. But really, BJJ usually bails him out. And I know he has the most submission wins in history. He has all of that. But Topuria has the power. He has the precision, I should say. And if he's not the best, he's one of the best boxers, I think. He can hang with them if they stick to their feet, get off their feet. I don't think it matters. It sounds like he's coming into this one with the mission to finish in the first round regardless. And from what I've seen, what I've heard from him, he might do just that. So that's how I'm going to bet it.
Yeah, Ilia Topuria is quite literally different. The bone density in these Georgian guys, the water in Georgia must be something in it, because the power at featherweight was unprecedented. I think it translates to lightweight, no problem. Him and Merab, right? Merab has it in his skull and his jaw. Ilia and his punching power and his fists. BC, I fear that for the third straight time, he will send a legend to the land of wind and ghosts, shadow realming Charles Oliveira early in this fight. That's my prediction. How do you see it playing out?
By the way, Dustin Poirier in an interview in the last few days said if he does that 3-fight stretch could be the most impressive 3-fight stretch he's ever seen. Obviously, Volk and Holloway were pound for pound at the time. Look, I got all the respect in the world for Oliveira. I do think there's an argument to be made that even his recent losses, having lost 2 of his last 4, that you can kind of explain them, meaning the aberration against Islam, which he said was the worst night of his career, and then that split decision loss to Saryukian, in which he had that deep choke in as that buzzer went off in round 3. But Topuria is just different. And look, I'm not a day one truther like my Morning Combat host, Luke Thomas, who's been parading about Topuria being everything he says he is forever. I was the one that said, hold on, who changes their Twitter bio to say world champion before they even get there, right? Who does things like this?
As you do.
Here's the thing, though. Topuria does things like this, and he completely backs it up. So I said earlier in my parlay that I think him to win under any circumstance is the best bet you can get on here. But how about this? How about taking the under combined 2.5 rounds for both fighters? That gives me the window that should the greatest finisher in UFC history, Oliveira, catch Topuria being a little bit too confident, I might be able to get a pass there. But do I believe that he can stop him from the middle of the third round down? Yes, I do. And that's meaning Topuria knocking out Oliveira. Look, Oliveira said this week, I'm coming after him. You know what Topuria said this week? This might be an easier knockout, he said, than the other ones, because normally he has to spend 2 rounds chasing his opponents, trying to set up his combinations. He knows he's got somebody that's running after him. And I think even though Oliveira's 35, I don't think he's past it, but part of his secret in this incredible run that he was on to win the title, when we found out, yes, the champion does have a name, and it's do Bronx, it was creating chaos and then being able to live in that. That works against people like Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, who are more than willing to accept the chaos. The thing is, the striking of Topuria is just different. I really do believe that he could end up having the best boxing in the history of the UFC or the sport of MMA that we talk about, because when you watch him train, when you watch him hit the pads, when you watch him hit that body shot to bring down Holloway's guard before landing a hook from hell to finish him, you realize that you are going to have to bring top shelf defense to survive against him. Holloway looked good for about a round and a half doing just that until it became too much. Oliveira does not move his head enough for an elite championship level fighter. He's going to be there to be hit. He's also going to be chasing Topuria down. So even though I'm trying to hedge in my background here, just in case Oliveira gets an early submission, going under 2.5 rounds there with good odds, you got to take it here because Topuria probably in the middle of the second round, if you're going to give respect for Oliveira to last that long, he's going to land that big one. And when he lands those perfect hooks with the full extension, people don't get up. They just don't get up. This is the future of this sport. And I want him to call out Islam Makhachev after that. Let's go. Let's actually get a rivalry here. Let's get a historic rivalry between two guys, number 1 and 2 pound for pound in their primes. We don't need to pull people out of retirement to make big fights. We don't need John Jones. We got these two guys right here. Got to get back to the Bronx pit. All right, there we go.
Let's go, BC. I'm not even putting that out of the realm of possibility that Ilya looks to become triple champ and goes to welterweight. He said he's going to be 175 in the cage on fight night. That's his calculation. After he rehydrates, that he'll be 175. I believe everything he says now because, like you guys pointed out, almost every angle in this fight here for Ilia Topuria that I was going to break down myself. Look at what he did to Volk. I mean, after he destroyed an uncrackable chin in Alexander Volkanovski, we said in the analysis to Max Holloway fight, well, Volk won that first round. He was hitting him with those low kicks, right? He's susceptible to the jab. You can see Volk having success. Ilya was just downloading his reads, weaving on center line, looking for that rising hook, right? Okay, Holloway has a little more success. Bang, bang, landing 1-2s down the middle. Those low kicks are available again. Holloway getting that movement going until hook compromises him. That's it. And that just, you can't survive Ilia Topuria for more than seemingly 10 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You guys said it. He had to look for Volk and Max Holloway. Charles comes forward. Charles is not going to be this guy that uses those long-range weapons, the teep kick to establish the range, that rangy right hand to keep him away from him. Charles is meeting you in the center. And if they get into some sort of clinch exchange or right in the pocket, BC, you talked about the body shots. Charles is bigger. He has the size advantage, right? But if he's using that high guard and that Muay Thai stance, Ilya's dipping one down and digging a hook to the liver, and that's where I think it's sayonara right there. I think that's a shot that compromises him. I'm going to say late in the first, and if it gets to the second, it's over quick with him already hurt on the stool there. So I like Ilya in rounds 1 and 2. I like him round 1 plus 200, round 2 plus 400, rounds 1 and 2 minus 110 because he says it's ending inside 1. I'm done not listening to the guy. Mystic Mac 2.0. He's calling exactly how it's happening. His fight IQ is off the charts, guys. All right, man. Wow, that's my Ilya. I was kind of a hater because I wanted Volk and Max to win, and now I'm just an Ilya fanboy. So that's how that's
yeah, me too.
So it happens.
Exactly. Onward we march. We got best bets to cover. Before we do, you guys got to be members of SportsLine. We got great coverage all across the board. You can get coverage from all of our analysts, and you're going to want to do so by plugging in the code WINNERS if you want to get 60% off that annual subscription for your first year. Huge deal right there. So make sure you plug in the code WINNERS if you're planning to get a SportsLine subscription. And that, of course, comes with all the analysis articles and all the analysts and the access to the Discord channel where they're all available to answer your questions, chatting with all the users and members of SportsLine, breaking down extra plays and expert insights every single day in the Discord. So join us there. All right, guys, final thoughts are the best bets of the night. And oh my God, BC, we have to start with you because this bet is just like, it doesn't, my brain can't even compute it. I'll kick it right to you, man.
I mean, look, it sounds crazy in theory, but what is a best bet to you? Is it a safe bet? Is it something that's, a slight underdog, get a little cheeky, I feel something? Or is it this? That all streaks were meant to be broken. So I'm going to tell you the bet first, then y'all can laugh at me, then I'll explain it. Terrence McKinney at lightweight against Vyacheslav Borshev. Sorry if I mispronounced that. We call him Slava Claus in these parts. To go the distance to end via decision at plus 500. You're crazy, BC, right? Terrence McKinney's the ultimate highlight machine. He either finishes you or he gets knocked the hell out, usually in the first round. All 16 of McKinney's pro wins have come by stoppage, and a staggering 15 of those have come in the first round. But But, okay, you can't keep a streak forever unless you're talking about Habib's unbeaten streak or the amount of days Conor McGregor's been partying for the last 3 years. Those streaks are Ripken-esque. But here's the deal. Terrence McKinney is 30 now. It's his second fight with his new team, and he's talked a lot about the patience and poise. His last fight was another early knockout win for him, and he said it kind of came by accident. He wasn't looking for it. I'm seeing a fighter who's adjusting beyond the belief of, hey, I'm a firecracker. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to win or lose. I'm here for a good time. No, this is a fighter now that is probably going to be looking to put together contention, get some wins, pack them out together, and you need a dance partner. And is there a better dance partner for a TV fighter to absorb extreme punishment than Slava Claus? He was been finished just once in his career. That came in St. Louis in a submission loss in the second round against Chase Hooper. Slava Claus says he didn't feel the tap, right? Alistair felt it. Stipe said he didn't feel it. Sorry, wrong fight. Replay showed maybe there was a tap, but here's the deal. Slava Claus is one of my favorite TV fighters to watch. He takes hellacious beatings. You can get both eyes swollen shut, and he's still going to be fighting. He's got to survive 15 minutes here. This is the first really, really durable test of McKinney's career. And also, look, Slava Claus is not a threat to finish McKinney. I'm not betting either way that either guy wins. I'm just betting that we go the distance and we break the streak of finishes for Terrence McKinney. I think he goes the 3-round distance for the first time in his career. I also think he probably dominates and probably comes close to finishing Borshev a few times. But all in all, streaks need to end. The kid's 30 years old now. He's taking his fight game more seriously. He's going to tell you after the fight, I needed this. I needed that experience. I needed to learn this lesson. And I'm coming now for the best run of my career. It starts right here at plus 500 odds. BC told you, all right? Hey, look, low risk, high reward. That's a best bet for me, all right?
What an interesting read here. 23 times. 23 times it hasn't happened. This is the one, says BC. This is the fight where McKinney shows maturity and says, you know what, I got to win on scorecards. I got to get a UFC win here and move my career forward. I'm never going against Slava. He's a friend of my podcast. He's the man, nicest guy, great personality and fun fighter, hitting the dance. If he, smooth kickboxer, accurate. Claudia, this bet is outrageous to me because I think he can hurt McKinney, but I think McKinney can certainly sub him. We've seen Slava struggle with the grappling, but he's staved him off. He's fought, he battles, he never gives up on himself. So maybe BC's onto it. What do you think about this insane fight?
I think I look at the 5-1 and I look at BC, who's a sharp guy. This might have a little bit more to do with the price than anything, but yeah, I think a little sprinkle doesn't hurt because I do agree. Trends aren't always predictive. Okay.
Yeah, and this is called catching the falling knife, right? Against the 23, in a row streak, you're on the other side. Can you catch that falling knife? I love it, man. What a bet. Claudia, back to the co-main we go for your best bet. What do you got?
Yeah, just that second leg of the parlay with Pantoja, KKF not to go the distance. I just think it's a great price at minus 130. This would be par for the course with Kai Kara-France. 5 of his last 7 have not gone the distance, and I don't think he wins, but if he does, it's likely to come from a KO. We talked about Pantoja to length, but he likes to get it done on the ground. We've seen him submit multiple top strikers, so I'm not too worried about that. KKF, I think, has a lot of holes that he can take advantage of. And I think it's a great value. Again, at minus 130, he's going to move forward, strike early, and then look for the takedown.
Yeah, I like it. And I think if Pantoja submits him, we'll be sitting here talking about his 4th consecutive title defense, and is he the flyweight GOAT? And I think we'll have no choice but to crown him that at this point. My best bet, it's got to be Ilia Topuria by knockout. The one concern was, is he going to want to sub the sub king, right? Is he going to want to have that on the resume? But I'm not overthinking that. I think that's way too cerebral, right? Ilia sees exactly how this knockout shot is happening, and BC said it. You don't get up from his shots. He hits. His power is otherworldly. It's different. It's going to translate at lightweight. Oliveira's gotten put away 7 times in his pro career. He's 35-10. We saw Michael Chandler almost finish him, man. If he gets chaotic like that and takes those shots from Ilia, it's night-night, and I think it happens in the first round. Ilia is an artist, man. Remember him putting the rose in the casket before the Volkanovski fight, and it was a whole thing about how he loved Volk, and it was a pity, and he felt sadness to put a beautiful thing to death. I was like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Like, that's the coldest thing I ever heard in my life, and he's just done nothing but cold things since then. So Ilia by sleeping. All right, guys, what a show we had. Claudia Bellofatto, Brian Campbell, here to break down UFC 317. Amazing show, guys. Great stuff here on the early edge. And we're here every single UFC pay-per-view, so make sure to stick around and make sure you're locked in with all of us here at SportsLine. Thank you so much. And man, good luck on your bets, everybody. We'll see you guys for the next one. Enjoy this 317 card. Cheers, y'all.